Captain Marcus Chen had seen many wonders in his 15 years traversing the stars, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The prisoner-holding cells of the Imperial Jothic warship were supposed to be escape-proof, yet here he stood, face to face with royalty itself. The creature before him was unlike anything in the Federation databases. 7 feet tall, covered in iridescent scales that shifted between deep purple and midnight blue. She moved with a grace that seemed to defy the ship's artificial gravity. Her armor was magnificent, ornate plates of what appeared to be living metal, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that matched her heartbeat. "Human," she said, her voice like crystal bells through the translator embedded in her collar. "You are the one who disabled 3 of our warships with nothing but cleverness and a mining vessel?" Marcus straightened despite his exhaustion. "I am. Captain Marcus Chen, Terran Federation Scout Corps." He paused, studying her. "And you are?" "Princess Shilara Vajjatik, 3rd of the royal bloodline, commander of the Obsidian Fleet." She circled him slowly, her large amber eyes, all 4 of them, examining him with obvious curiosity. "My people have been watching yours for some time. You are unexpected. That seems to be humanity's specialty," Marcus replied with a dry smile. The princess stopped circling. Her clawed hand moved to her helmet, and with a hiss of releasing atmosphere, the ornate piece began to separate. Marcus watched, transfixed as the helmet split along invisible seams and retracted into the collar of her armor. What he saw beneath made his breath catch. Her face was a masterwork of evolutionary artistry. The scales gave way to something softer around her features, patterns of bioluminescence that traced along her high cheekbones and across her forehead like living constellations. Her eyes, now unobscured by the helmet's visor, held an intelligence that was immediately recognizable, not human but unmistakably sapient, curious and kind. "Beautiful," Marcus whispered before he could stop himself. Shilara froze. Her scales rippled through a spectrum of colors, confusion, surprise, something else he couldn't identify. "What did you say?" Marcus cleared his throat, feeling heat rise to his cheeks. "I apologize, Your Highness. That was inappropriate. I meant no disrespect." "No." She stepped closer, her head tilting in a gesture that was surprisingly familiar. "Repeat what you said." "I said you were beautiful." He met her gaze steadily. "Because you are." The princess's scales shifted again, settling into a soft rose-gold hue. "In all my campaigns and all the species we have encountered and conquered, none have ever called me that. They see a weapon, a monster, a killer." She moved closer still until only a foot separated them. "But you see beauty?" "I see someone who removed her helmet despite me being a prisoner," Marcus said quietly. "Someone who showed trust. That takes a different kind of strength than wearing armor." Shilara studied him for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "Do you know why I came here personally, human?" "To this cell?" Marcus shook his head. "Because you spared them." "Spared who?" "The crew of the 3rd warship. You disabled their engines and life support, then transmitted instructions for repairs before you fled. You could have let them die in the void. Instead, you saved 847 lives. Her scales rippled again. "My brother commanded that vessel," understanding dawned. "So this is revenge?" "No." Shilara's expression softened in a way he wouldn't have thought possible for her alien features. "This is gratitude. And curiosity. The Jothic Empire has conquered 17 star systems. We have subjugated 12 species. We are taught that compassion is weakness, that mercy is foolishness." She gestured at him. "Yet you showed both and still escaped from the finest warriors in the galaxy." "How?" Marcus considered his answer carefully. "Because humans learned something a long time ago. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we reached the stars. Wars, genocides, disasters of our own making. But we survived because eventually, someone was brave enough to choose compassion over conquest, to see the person inside the enemy." "And you see a person when you look at me?" Shilara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I see someone who's questioning everything they were taught," Marcus replied. "Someone brave enough to come here alone to show their face to a prisoner, to ask questions instead of simply executing judgment." "Yes, I see a person. A remarkable one." The princess was silent for a long moment. Then, to Marcus's surprise, she began deactivating the energy field that separated them. Alarms immediately began to sound throughout the ship. "What are you doing?" Marcus asked. Making a choice, Shalara said firmly. The same kind you made when you spared my brother's ship. She extended her hand to him, 3 fingers and a thumb, scaled but delicate. Come with me, Captain Chen. Let me show you that the Jothic are capable of learning, of changing. Marcus heard the sound of armored boots rushing toward the cell. He had seconds to decide. He took her hand. Her scales were warm beneath his touch, pulsing with that same bioluminescence. Shalara's eyes widened slightly at the contact, and her colors shifted to something Marcus instinctively recognized as wonder. I need you to trust me, she said urgently as the footsteps grew closer. I already do, Marcus replied. And in that moment, as a human prisoner and an alien princess stood together against the certainty of her people's wrath, something changed in the galaxy. It was small, barely noticeable. Just 2 beings from different worlds choosing to see each other as people rather than enemies. But from small choices, rebellions are born. From compassion, empires fall, and from understanding, new futures emerge.